what's up? This is TJ. How you doing? Thanks for joining me. This is episode 3 of my exploration series on the Arturia PolyBrute. Now, today we're going to look at 4 different things. The first 2 of them are by request from my viewers. The first is we're going to look at the pitch accuracy settings to get this modern synth to sound a little bit more vintagey. Then we're going to be looking at the voices modulation source, very cool feature on the PolyBrute. We're going to be looking also at the motion recording here, and then we're going to be looking at PolyBrute Connect. So if you like the videos here, you got to share, subscribe, check out tjontheroad.com for more. Your support is very much appreciated, and we're going to get started right now. Now, the great thing about the Arturia PolyBrute is a fully analog synthesizer. The oscillators are voltage controlled, and that means they are analog. They're not digital in any way, shape, or form. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but digital does have its own sound, and the voltage controlled oscillators do also have their individual sounds as well. Most of the old, vintage synths, the Prophets, the Oberheins, they were voltage controlled, and they were the really ones that, people tend to seek and still seek today. But the difference with the PolyBrute is that it's a modern voltage-controlled synthesizer. And what that means is that the tuning on it is very, very solid. That could be a good thing, and that may not be a good thing, depending on your perspective, or more accurately, depending on what sound that you're going for. So the PolyBrute has a few settings to make your synth sound a little bit more vintagey, and they are very, very cool. Or they can also do a lot of other things. Let me show you. In that, you have the settings here. Let's go into that. Hit voice, VCO, and you'll see here you have the pitch accuracy. Go into number 4 for pitch accuracy. Now, right now it's off, so that means the tuning is set to be as solid as can be. Let me show you. All right, so now what you're hearing there is both the VCOs are on. They're running through the mixer at about 3/4, and then they're running through the ladder filter fully open. Again. Okay, but if I was to change that to the wild setting, wild. Let's hear that. Dramatically different in terms of the tuning accuracy. The next more tight, I guess you would say, to that would be the mild exponential setting. Number 3. And then my favorite setting, which is the linear mild setting. Gives a nice little bit of color, exaggeration, character, more than the off setting, but it still sounds pretty tight. So that gives you a lot of variation in terms of what you want to do with your sound. And the great thing is that it is per preset. You can save that setting with the preset, and it can be different on a different preset. So, if you want to tight one sound or you want to loosen another sound, you can get that. The other great feature is, I'm going to leave that on the mild setting, and we're going to go into the mods. Now, the mods has this voices as a source. So what that means is each one of the 6 voices can have a different control voltage that can send out through the matrix, and then that can be set to wherever you want it to create a different amount of, variance, just like any other mod. So that's really, really, really powerful. Now, you could use that to tune each individual voice if you want to, and that's a great way to also make it sound vintagey. But there's a lot more else that you can do with that. For example, you'll see here I have a couple destinations. Just as an example, I have it at the reverb level. So if I was to turn that on, all right, you got it at the reverb level, I'm going to turn it to 100%. This is a good way to see what's going on here. And I just hit some voices. That's got a lot of reverb. Almost none. No reverb. So what's cool is that as I cycle through all those voices, it's going to give me a different amount of intensity of the given destination. Very, very cool. Let's take that one step further. I'll turn that one off. Now, right now you're hearing the morph on the A, which is basically pretty close to the initialized patch, as I mentioned before. Now I have a pretty basic preset set for B. So that's the B side of the preset. It's kind of like your old record, vinyl records. I'll turn it back to the A side. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the voice to change which side plays depending on which voice plays back as I play through the keys. So we have that here on number 5, the morph. I'm going to set that to 100%. And listen to what happens here. So it's really, really cool. Imagine the possibilities of doing that with all of your destinations, and each key that you play will cycle through a different set of sounds. Very, very powerful and fun stuff there. So that's really one of the coolest things with the PolyBrute is the voices as a modulation source. All right, next I want to show you a really cool feature. It is the motion record. Consider it kind of a cross between an LFO and a lane in the sequencer. But it has some very, very cool, interesting functions in that you can actually control it, play it, so that it is a multiple of whatever it is you're recording, and it can record any one of the destinations that you normally could use in the matrix and or in the sequencer. Let me show you. All right, so that sound you're hearing is the basic, sound that I programmed. If I take record here and I put it on arm and I go like this, I take it off the arm. Now it's in loop mode. Listen. So now it'll play with just what I recorded in a loop, and I can actually change the speed to be either double speed, quadruple speed, 8 times. Okay, that's 8 times as slow, I should say. Let's go 8 times as fast. It's almost like Morse code there. And that'll sync up to your sequencer or to external MIDI. Okay, so this here is Arturia's PolyBrute Connect. Their computer editing software is available in standalone, and it is also available in UA, VSTI format. So you can include it within your DAW, and Arturia really needs to be commended for coming out with this right away, right when the PolyBrute has been released. A lot of companies, farm out their editors or they take forever to get them out after it has been released with the hardware. Arturia came out with this right away. They should be commended for that, and it looks really, really great. And it looks a lot like their other software, say from the V Collection. So if you're familiar with the V Collection, you'll know how to use this right away. So that's really cool. I just want to quick hit some of the things that I really, really like about this. There is a more detailed demonstration that Arturia has put out, but I'm just going to hit some of the quick things that I think are really, really great. One of the things that's really, really great on this is that all the menus, the sub-menus for all the different things here are right next to the actual controls. So it's really, really great. You don't have to do the diving that sometimes you have to do in the settings of the PolyBrute itself. They're all right here. Say for the modulation types, the different stereo distribution, all these different things here. For the LFOs, all that stuff's right here at hand, so it's very, very quick to use. Another really great thing is within the matrix. you can select your sources and destinations, and you can actually see all the destinations right from here. So that's really cool as well. And then once you select that, say I want to select the cutoff as a destination, I just come over here and now it's selected as the master cutoff for this given slot. So that's very, very cool and very, very fast. It's fast on the hardware itself, but it's also faster even in the software. Now this is bi-directional. So what that means is that if I make a change on the hardware, it's going to show up in the software. So let's say, for example, I hit the master cutoff. You can see the master cutoff in the software right here. But if I do that on the hardware, it's going to change it in the software. And it'll do the same thing. If I change it in the software, it'll change it in the hardware. All right, so let's hit a note and you can see it. You can hear it. So it's bi-directional, live. That's really, really great. Another really great feature of this is if you go up to here and you get into here, you can get into the library. And you can really, really create a huge library for this. This is all the factory presets. You can create your own presets. I have this over here. And you can take them on and off from the PolyBrute, from your computer, back into the PolyBrute, and so forth. So that's really, really great. And again, this resembles a lot of the V-Collection-like software. So it has a lot of familiarity if you have other Arturia type of software. You can go into the preset settings here, as well as the global settings. The preset settings, you can set what you want for the sequencer and arpeggiator. You can't control the sequencer or the arpeggiator from here yet. I don't know if they're looking to do that in the future, but that would be cool. And you can set up the voicings, the unison count, the vibrato. And then you have all your global settings. So this is vastly improved over, say, the MIDI control center that Arturia uses for some of their other gear. This is specialized for the PolyBrute. Really a nice upgrade that you get with the synth, and you get it right away. Well, hey, that's it. This is the last of the exploration series on the PolyBrute. Don't worry, there's going to be more PolyBrute videos coming. Next one I'm going to do is I'm going to compare it directly to my Matrix Brute. That's going to be a lot of fun. And there's going to be more explorations videos that's going to be on my other gear and new gear that is coming. So if you like the videos, the stuff that I'm doing here, you got to share them. You got to subscribe. You got to check out tjontheroad.com for more, because I so much appreciate your support. You make this channel work. Thank you. I'll see you next time.